Okay, so we are with Brent Newsom. This is our last interview with our candidates today. And, I can't resist the urge of saying that we're late because he got in traffic.
Yeah, that's unfortunately often a common theme. But yes, there was some traffic heading back from my last appointment. So thank you for being patient with me this morning.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so let's just kind of go through the rundown here of a couple of questions. Again, this is just a short little 15-20 minute get to know you. So I want to start with, and we all know the answer, but how long have you been in Mansfield?
It's been a while. We moved here originally in '74, and I was 2 years old. So that was a long time ago. Now I haven't spent my entire life here. We were gone for about 10 years overall. But yeah, back in the early '70s, Mansfield was, a small little country town, about 7,000 people at the time. So I've definitely seen some changes over the years, but I definitely grew up here. And both my girls graduated from school here, and have had a long connection here. My grandmother was here, so a lot of fun times over the years.
All right. So tell me about your occupation, the industry that you're in.
Sure. Currently, I'm not working for anybody. I tell everybody I'm being a trophy husband, but I'm not sure how much. I would suspect that Michelle thinks that trophies being a little tarnished at the moment. But that being said, I've been in banking for well over 20 years. Fortunately, I've actually been in banking in Mansfield for that long. So the two different previous employers that I worked for, it was great that I was able to not only live here but work here as well. So offering a somewhat of a unique perspective, working along with the community that you live in.
Okay. So I want to talk about, we know that you were currently on city council, but why run again? What's motivating you?
You know what? There's a lot of things that are exciting that are going on in the city, and I'm sure everybody would, like to be a part of that. And then I am as well. There's still a couple of things, from previous stints on council that I would love to continue, that I think that there's some opportunity for us to continue to make some headway on. One is being able to continue to increase our homestead exemption to 20%, which is the maximum that's allowable. So I think that's important, but not only for our homeowners, but our business owners, continuing to reduce that sales tax rate. Not sales tax, but the tax rate itself, which will also help our businesses thrive in this community, in this time. Because right now, I mean, it's difficult from a business perspective because of interest rates. Interest rates have started to skyrocket, and that's significantly impacting businesses and their operational cost, to the point where it's difficult to. Often you'll see a business that they have increased costs. They try to pass that on to their in product, but at this point, I mean, when you're talking about interest rates nearly doubling over the last year and a half, that's a difficult hurdle to overcome. So I think running will, from my perspective, those are a couple of the key things, and obviously infrastructure, as we continue to grow, help to mitigate not only our new infrastructure needs, but our current infrastructure that is hitting its life expectancy from when it was built original. So we're going to have some serious conversations about what that looks like from a city's perspective.
Okay. So you do have an opponent.
Yes.
We just visited with him. Can you give me what your differentiator, or what you believe your differentiator is with Scott?
Sure. Scott and I've known each other for, a number of years now, and we're very, very similar. From our approach. I think right now, my key difference is one, experience, because I think experience, especially on a unexpired term where the term's just going to be a 1 year, I think I can get in, hit the ground running, because I have a really good understanding of what it takes, not only from a fiduciary responsibility to the citizens, but also a process perspective from what's coming to the city, whether it's land development, whether it's whether it's zoning. All those things are familiar to me, so there's not going to be a learning curve there that I think is important in this specific election.
Okay. Anything else that you can add to that besides just the fact that you do have that experience?
Yeah, I mean, experience is important, but being able to work with the existing council. I mean, everybody that's on there, I actually have known for some time. I think I have the ability to work with the other members, not that, and I actually have the respect to city staff as well. So I think a combination of those pieces helps make me a good candidate, for that position. But that still doesn't limit myself, or I don't feel like it limits myself from having a fresh perspective, because there's still ideals that, whether they're my ideals or whether they're talking with other people in the community that say, okay, well, why don't we think about it from this perspective? I mean, there's a lot of opportunity there from roads and reconstruction of roads that I think we could definitely take a look at that will help offset some of that cost to the citizens. So from working with council members, helping to build a consensus, I think that's important from a council member's job, working with those individuals to get on the same page and move forward with whatever the project is or the issue is at hand.
So what do you feel is the number one challenge that Mansfield faces today?
I think it's, from my perspective, I think it's growth, because when you're looking at growth, there's just so many pieces that infiltrates, whether it's the cost of homes, whether it's taxes, whether it's, roads and infrastructure, employment base. The growth in and of itself is very impactful on a city, all the way down to, the water sewer department and, increasing, I know this maybe gets in the weeds, but, concerned about, water sewer lift stations on the south part of town. What is that going to eventually look like? Fire stations, where are we going to place those new fire stations that we're going to have to, ultimately build? So growth from even a national standpoint, I mean, we're looking at was reading some numbers the other day. I mean, at some point we're going to become the third largest metropolitan center in the entire country. That's significant, and Mansfield's part of that. I mean, we're in from a road access piece. I mean, you're talking about high business and Highway 287 and 360, and with those roads converting down and ultimately connecting to 67, the expansion of and realignment of 157, all those are integral parts, and the growth piece has a dramatic impact on what we plan for from a city's perspective and how we mitigate what needs that precipitates.
So when you talk about planning for stuff like that, what's in your vision? What do you see?
So I think overall, just from a city's granular level, I think the city's doing a good job. I think a lot of the planning that we have for development is going to obviously revolve around whether you're talking about 20-25%, whatever that number of developable land consists of, making sure that whatever the purpose is for that land, it's a good steward of what the citizens expect. And there's a different thought process that comes here. I mean, are we going to be heavily involved in the development of that land from the city's perspective? Or are we not? Are we going to let the free market economy reign? The citizens have seemed to shift lately on that a little bit, to where they want the city to take a more active role in the development. And if that's the case, then that's what we need to do. And we need to make sure that whatever the development that comes, it's beneficial, to the citizenry as a whole, because you're having development that's not only residential, but you're looking to attract different types of commercial and retail space as well, because that's important to broaden that, tax base to be able to offset the burdensome taxes that are on homeowners today.
Okay. Did you have anything specific that you wanted to say or comment?
No, I'm just really glad you do these interviews, Lori. I mean, I really appreciate that time, and it's exciting. It's an exciting time in the city of Mansfield. I mean, there's a lot going on. We have a lot to be proud of, and I think that as we continue to grow and become a dominant player in Tarrant County, most people don't realize. I mean, we're the third largest city in Tarrant County, and having that, in our back pocket, being attractive, being competitive, working with our state representatives, our state legislature, working with our county officials, all that's an important part to make sure that Mansfield is a key player in what's going on in this part of Tarrant County.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to remind everybody that our candidate forum, so we'll get into some of those weeds on Thursday at 10:30 here at the chamber. That will also be Facebook Live. And then everyone will have an opportunity to come and actually visit with you at our chamber business luncheon on April the 20th. So
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Oh, let me say one thing, Lori.
Yes.
I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that, obviously, my family's here, and very excited about the fact that, going to be a grandfather. My youngest daughter is moving back to the area. It's going to be living here in Mansfield. And I think that's an important piece that, as a council member, a father, and a soon to be grandfather, that you want to make sure that when you're looking at what's going on in the city, that you put those glasses on as well to help ensure that the decisions you make that will ultimately impact you and your future generations' family, that those decisions are not taken lightly, because they are important. I'm excited about the fact that they're moving back here, and look forward to working through a process that makes Mansfield a place where everybody's family wants to move back to.
Okay. All right. So we're going to leave it there, and we will see you again on Thursday for the candidate forum.
All right. Thank you, Lori. Appreciate
All
the
right.
time.
Thank you.
Bye.